Have you ever thought, I don't even know who I am anymore? Maybe you've spent so long being the nice girl or the perfectionist or too sensitive or the helpful one that you feel lost. You've given so much to others to make sure that they're happy. It's no wonder now that you're asking, where did I go? Who am I? You're not alone. According to Psychology Today, 59% of midlife women report feeling this way. And with all the women that I've worked with, more than half of them have shared the same thing. And they ask me, who would I be if I stopped giving or doing so much? In this video, I'm giving you the 5 steps that I use with my clients so that they can break free of all these labels and expectations and help them rebuild confidence and self-trust. By the way, this is day 2 of the 12 Days of Stress Miss Challenge, where I'm sharing a video every day to help you reduce stress and break free of people pleasing. I'm saving all the videos in a playlist, and each video guides you through recognizing and transforming hidden habits, the sneaky behaviors that cause stress, so you can feel more empowered and at peace. Before I give you the 5 steps to breaking out of these labels, let's talk about how these labels can actually impact negatively our identity and the sense of who we are. So all these labels shape our identity, and these could be labels that we've given ourselves, or they could be labels that we were given when we were kids, and we've held on to them like they were the truth and unchangeable. Many times we end up adopting this philosophy that it's just the way I am. Have you ever said that before? I've had clients say that to me, well, it's just the way I am. I'm a giving person. Then from these labels, we end up telling ourselves stories about the labels. Because if you think about it, most of the labels that we were given or that we adopted and took on are negative, right? Again, they're things maybe we were told when we were a kid, like, she's shy. Oh, be a good girl. Be nice. Don't hurt anyone's feelings. Don't be so lazy. Oh, you're such a procrastinator. I'm not very confident. Or maybe things as adults you were told, you're too high maintenance. You're too sensitive. You're so needy. And this is a good one, right? You're selfish. So we morph ourselves to try and avoid being labeled as these things that we don't want to be. This one I held back because this one, a client of mine was labeled when she was young as pretty. And we would all think, oh, that's sweet, right? But she was abused by the person that told her that. And so she grew up believing that if she was pretty, that was not safe. So the problem with these labels is that they create these invisible rules, such as nice girls or good girls don't say no, they don't disagree, they don't speak up for themselves, they don't talk back. And that teaches us then the rule is, as an adult, is that we don't speak up, or that selfish people don't ever think of themselves. And again, that leads us to always giving to others and putting ourselves on the back burner. Put a comment below if you've been labeled any one of these things, or maybe there's one that I didn't mention that you feel that you were labeled a lot. Let's start a conversation in the comments. I'm losing my labels, which is maybe a good thing. Labels also make us adopt these people-pleasing behaviors, things like overgiving so that we can avoid judgment. And these rules make us neglect ourselves in order to meet their expectations, in order to do what other people are expecting of us, to fit the label. Selfish, it's gotta go. The impact these labels have on us, especially if we are people pleasers, is, again, we want to fit other people's expectations because that equals approval. When we're trying to fit these expectations, then we disconnect from ourselves. And that's where we end up feeling like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And maybe you have a sense that something's not right. You don't like these labels, but you fear breaking free from them because you maybe are afraid of other people judging you. Another fear, though, that we have is, who would I be without this label? Who would I be if I wasn't considered the nice girl or the good girl anymore? Or How would I have to show up if I proclaimed myself as confident or not shy? And we fear that we can't live up to that standard, that we'll be inadequate, that we won't be enough. And so we tend to just stick with the labels that we're given. And we also fear, if we let go of some of these labels, these stories that we've been telling ourselves, we fear rejection, not being accepted, not belonging. These labels, though, these stories that we have about ourselves, when they got repeated enough, they got stored in the subconscious mind as a belief, as the truth about who we were. And the thing is, our identity is not fixed. It is changeable. You can decide who you want to be today. I love asking my clients, if you woke up today and couldn't remember a thing about your past, who would you create yourself to be? If you couldn't remember any of your failures or your rejections or your judgments or your hurts or anything that happened to you, who would you create yourself to be? You would be a different person. You would not have all these labels and all these stories that you're telling yourself. So I love asking that question. And I'd love to know in the comments, who would you create yourself to be without all of these labels? So again, all of these labels, all these stories that we tell ourselves, this identity that we have about ourselves is in the subconscious mind. The behaviors that we have that come from these labels, these stories, is in the conscious mind. So the conscious mind only has 5% of the power. Your subconscious mind runs 95% of your day. So if you want to change some of your people-pleasing behaviors, some of the overgiving, the avoidance behaviors, the numbing behaviors, if you want to change any behavior, you have to first go to the subconscious mind and look at what belief, what label, what story is driving that behavior. Until you change the story you have about yourself, your behaviors cannot change. So what are the 5 steps to releasing these labels and figuring out who you really are, who you want to be, who you would create yourself to be today if you couldn't remember anything from your past, if you couldn't remember any of these labels? The first step always is awareness, but the first step is to recognize, so become aware that you do not need fixed. You're not broken. I'm an emotional person. I could start crying right now, actually. I'm an emotional person, and when I was young and I would get emotional about something, I was told, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, right? And so that taught me that being an emotional person was a bad thing, that was wrong, that I needed to fix it, that it was a flaw. And I want to tell you that there's nothing wrong with being emotional, and I'm not sure why I am right at the moment. But know that you are not broken. You don't need fixed. Okay, let me gather myself. The next step in figuring out who you really are is to recognize and question these labels. Identify the labels that you carry and ask yourself, who gave me this label? Does it serve me? Is it a positive label or is it negative? And how is holding on to it creating stress in my body, creating stress in my life? Am I holding on to it and adding stress to my nervous system? And remember, you were not born this way. You weren't born shy or not confident or a procrastinator or too sensitive or any of the labels that you're given. You weren't born that way. You were just told a story for so many years that you believed it to be true. The third step in breaking free from these labels is to challenge these rules that were imposed on you, that the label imposed on us, such as a good girl has to agree, or emotions are wrong, so don't show them, don't express them, don't be selfish, or a nice person would apologize, and so you end up taking on the role and the rule that you have to apologize for everything that you do. And that's another video in and of itself. The fourth step is to reframe your identity. Again, ask yourself, who do I want to be? If I could not remember anything of my past, who would I create myself to be today? And then create yourself to be it. There is nothing holding you to all of those labels except your fear of the unknown. So if the label isn't serving you, let it go and live into the person that you truly want to be. Create the person today that you want to be. For me, I reframed my too emotional as me being able to be emotional and show emotion, be able to be vulnerable, allows other people to know that it's okay to be vulnerable and to show up, here we go again, to show up as their authentic selves. Because if I can't be authentic, then you're going to feel like you have to put on a facade in front of me in order for you to be accepted by me. But if I can allow myself to be authentic and know that I'll be accepted by the people who will accept authenticity and vulnerability, then I'm good with allowing my emotions to show and to be vulnerable, because I've reframed it as a gift that I have and not something wrong. So how can you reframe the labels that you have? Maybe too sensitive becomes I'm empathetic, or shy becomes I'm introspective. Or you can just let go of the labels altogether and don't make them mean anything. Just let them go. And the fifth step of letting go of these labels is to realize, to recognize the power of the words I am. Pastor Joel Osteen says, anything that follows the words I am follows you. It will find you and become your reality. So when we say, I am lazy, I am too sensitive, I'm shy, I'm not confident, we are telling our subconscious mind that we believe that to be true, and that becomes our reality. And so our behaviors can only align with that belief that I believe I am. And if you want to use the statement to your advantage, then obviously put a positive thing in there. And a reminder that if you haven't watched day one video, there is a free relaxation audio, and it has a lot of positive I am statements to help us rewire all those negative things that we believed about ourselves for so long. So go grab that audio. I will link it in the description of this video. When we don't know who we are, we morph ourselves to fit others' expectations. In the next video, we'll look at how this core drive for acceptance and safety fuels people-pleasing behaviors. So the problem with these labels, the problem is, hey, what label did you steal from me? The dog knows I'm no longer a procrastinator. Hey, no. He's taking, hey. Drop selfish. Reduce stress.